Welcome to Voice Podcast Episode 2. Just a quick reminder before we get started, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. It really helps us out. Anyway, imagine you're building a highly complex billion-dollar machine, right? And then you just accidentally leave the door wide open and watch its most crucial part just walk away for absolutely nothing.
Yeah, which is terrifying if you're the one paying for it.
Right. But today on this deep dive, we are looking at how one of England's biggest clubs is doing exactly that, and how the rest of Europe is basically capitalizing on it. If you follow football, you know the transfer window is often portrayed as this chaotic scramble.
Like a game of musical chairs, really.
Exactly. High-stakes musical chairs. Millions of euros on the line. Our mission today is to sift through this massive, chaotic stack of football transfer and managerial news. And I promise you, we are not going to miss a single transfer news item from our sources today. Every single one is getting covered. So we're tracking this underlying butterfly effect where, one single signature can displace players across the entire continent.
It's the perfect lens to view this through, honestly, because the whole football ecosystem is just so completely interdependent. I mean, we often look at transfers in isolation, like this player went here or that manager went there.
Yeah, just as individual events.
Right. But the reality is way closer to a complex chain reaction. When a manager signs a contract, it fundamentally alters the tactical geometry of a club.
The tactical geometry, I like that.
Well, it's true. That single shift instantly makes certain players obsolete, right? And it creates desperate needs for entirely new profiles, which then just ripples outward into the market.
And that chain reaction, it almost always starts with the managers. And we have a massive stack of managerial moves today. First up, Andoni Iraola has officially signed a 2-year contract with Liverpool, so that keeps him there until June 2028.
Huge move.
It is, but he isn't just bringing a tactics board. He is bringing an entire 4-person backroom staff with him. So we're talking Pablo De La Torre, Tommy Elphick, Sean Cooper, and Tom Webber. Now, I understand wanting your own guys around you, but doesn't this entirely alienate a club's existing structure?
I mean, you would think so, yeah.
Isn't bringing your whole staff trying to transplant a whole new nervous system into an existing body? Why do modern clubs allow a manager to come in and just rip out the internal wiring of a massive institution like Liverpool?
Because it's actually a risk mitigation strategy. Think of a modern football club, not as a traditional workplace, but more like a highly specialized computer network.
Okay.
A manager's philosophy isn't just the formation he plays on a Saturday afternoon. It's the specific cadence of the training sessions. It's the granular details of the video analysis.
Right, the day-to-day stuff.
Exactly. The exact load management data the physical preparation team uses. So when Liverpool hires Iraola, they are just hiring a head coach. They are purchasing a proprietary operating system. If you force him to run that system using the club's legacy staff, things just get lost in translation.
So it's like trying to run next-generation software on 10-year-old hardware. You're going to get fatal errors.
Precisely. The modern Premier League simply moves way too fast for a slow diplomatic integration period. By bringing De La Torre, Elphick, Cooper, and Webber, Iraola basically ensures that from day one, his exact physiological and tactical demands are executed perfectly across every single department.
It's an expensive transplant, though.
It is, but it guarantees operational alignment. You don't have time to teach the old staff the new tricks.
Okay, so Iraola is essentially a full system override for Liverpool. But if we look at the other managerial moves in our stack, some feel more like stability plays, and others are just pure tactical revolutions.
Oh, absolutely.
We've got Davide Ancelotti stepping out of his father's shadow, signing as Lille's manager until June 2028. You have Marco Silva leaving Fulham to take over at Benfica, also until June 2028, but with an option for 2029. But the one that really catches my eye in terms of this butterfly effect we talked about is former Girona boss Michel taking over as the head coach of Ajax Amsterdam, also until 2028.
And that one right there is where the tactical geometry of European football fundamentally shifts. Just look at the historical context here. Ajax is the spiritual home of Cruyffian football, right? Possession, fluidity, positional interchange.
Football.
Exactly. But recently, they've lost that identity entirely. Now, Michel, meanwhile, he just took Girona on a historic run using a breathtaking, highly technical possession game. Culturally, he is the perfect fit for Ajax.
But to play his brand of football, he needs a very specific type of player, right?
Yes, he needs a very specific type of midfield metronome, a guy who could dictate everything.
Which perfectly explains the first major player movement in our stack. because Ajax has officially opened talks to sign Dani Ceballos, who is leaving Real Madrid at the end of June. That is literally the butterfly effect in real time. Michel arrives, demands a technical orchestrator who can dictate the tempo, and they immediately go knocking on the door of Europe's biggest club for a player who's exiting.
It's textbook. Ceballos is the physical manifestation of Michel's tactical requirements. But while Ajax is trying to catch Madrid's departing talent, Real Madrid themselves are putting on an absolute clinic in modern squad building.
Oh, they really are.
They are completely revamping their defensive line, and they are doing it by exploiting two very different types of market mechanisms.
Yeah, let's talk about those mechanisms, because Madrid's business here is just surgical. First, they triggered a 20 million euro release clause to pry right back Denzel Dumfries away from Inter Milan.
No messing around.
No drawn-out negotiations, no crazy media circus, just clause paid, player secured. And then they are bringing in Ibrahima Konaté, who had already agreed to join them on a free transfer from Liverpool on a 4-year deal. Which brings me back to my opening thought, right?
The open door.
Yes. Konaté is a premium center back, and Liverpool is letting him walk for free right as Iraola arrives. I mean, is this an unavoidable reality of modern contracts, or did Liverpool's previous management just fundamentally botch this? Like a massive failure to let a prime asset walk for nothing? Or is the gravitational pull of Real Madrid just that irresistible?
I mean, if we are looking at this purely analytically, it is a catastrophic failure of asset management by Liverpool. There's really no other way to spin it.
Because they get nothing for it.
Zero. To understand why it's so bad, you have to understand the leverage of the modern free agent. Ever since the Bozeman ruling, out-of-contract players have had the right to leave for free. But free is a bit of a misnomer.
Right, because someone is getting paid.
Exactly. Because Real Madrid doesn't have to pay Liverpool a 60 or 70 million euro transfer fee for Konaté. They could just take a fraction of that saved money and offer it directly to Konaté as a massive signing bonus.
So Konaté's agent knows that by running down his contract, he essentially transitions the transfer fee from Liverpool's bank account directly into his client's pocket.
That's exactly it. The financial incentives for elite players to reach free agency are astronomical now. When a player of Konaté's caliber enters the final 18 months of his deal, the club only has two choices. You either renew him immediately, or you sell him to the highest bidder to recoup the asset value.
You can't just let the clock run out.
Never. Allowing him to reach the end of the contract means you lose a world-class defender, you lose the 60 million euro market value, and you still have to go out and spend another 60 million to replace him. It creates a massive financial and structural hole right as Iraola is trying to build his new foundation.
And meanwhile, Madrid is just over there vacuuming up all this value. They get Konaté on a free, and they use a release clause for Dumfries. For those who might not know the exact mechanics of it, why is that 20 million euro Dumfries deal such a massive inefficiency in the market?
Well, a release clause is essentially a pre-agreed buyout price written into a player's contract. In some leagues, like Spain, they are mandatory, but in Italy they are negotiated. At some point, Inter Milan agreed to cap Dumfries' exit price at 20 million euros, probably in exchange for keeping his wages lower.
Okay, that makes sense.
But in today's inflated market, where elite fullbacks routinely go for 50 million euros or more, that clause is a massive undervaluation. Madrid identified the inefficiency, bypassed the club-to-club negotiation completely, and just triggered the buyout. It's brilliant risk management.
Which stands in such stark contrast to the sheer financial force we are seeing elsewhere in our stack of sources. Because while Madrid is being surgical, you have other European giants just opening their checkbooks and taking huge financial risks to climb the ladder.
The heavyweight spenders.
Exactly. Manchester United is splashing the cash, agreeing to a 45 million euro total transfer fee for Ederson on a 4-year contract, plus a 1-year option. And Bayern Munich is matching that aggression right. They agreed to personal terms with Ismael Saibari for a 5-year contract and put a massive 50 million euro offer on PSV Eindhoven's table.
And this is where we see a very clear thematic line. Bayern Munich and Manchester United are clubs that demand absolute dominance, but right now, they find themselves chasing the pack. They're trying to climb back up the mountain.
And climbing is expensive.
Very. When you are desperate to close the gap between yourself and the absolute elite, you lose your negotiating leverage. You end up paying 45 or 50 million euros, not just for the player's current ability, but for the immediate impact. You are paying a massive premium for urgency.
Okay, I understand the logic of spending 50 million when you're desperate to get back to the top, but that makes the situation over in Paris completely baffling to me.
Let's look at PSG.
The PSG paradox. Yeah, they have achieved the ultimate goal. They just won back-to-back Champions League titles. They have reached the absolute summit twice in a row, and yet our sources show they are surprisingly ready to dismantle parts of their base camp. They are selling 3 first-team players: Goncalo Ramos, Lee Kang-in, and Lucas Chevalier.
It seems counterintuitive.
It really does. Why would a team that just won consecutive Champions Leagues sell 3 crucial players? Is this the ultimate sell high strategy? Or is there some hidden danger in keeping a winning squad together for too long?
Well, you have to look at both the psychological and the financial realities here, because they are deeply intertwined. On the psychological side, there is merit to dismantling your own winning squad before complacency sets in.
Keep everyone hungry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But let's be real and look at the balance sheet. In modern football, financial fair play rules, or profit and sustainability rules, they dictate literally everything.
Right, you can only spend a percentage of your revenue.
Yes. And the way player contracts are accounted for is through amortization. If you buy a player for $50 million on a 5-year contract, he only costs $10 million a year on your books.
Okay.
But when you sell a player, that revenue is recorded immediately in a single lump sum. Ramos, Lee Kang-in, and Chevalier are double Champions League winners right now. Their market value will literally never be higher.
It's at its absolute zenith.
Right. And furthermore, a player like Chevalier is an academy product. In football accounting, selling a homegrown player represents pure unamortized profit.
Oh, wow. Wait, really?
Yes, 100% profit on the books.
So selling Chevalier is basically an FFP cheat code.
It is the ultimate financial equalizer. So while PSG might spin this to the press as a necessary cultural reset to maintain competitive hunger, the underlying mechanism is that they are capitalizing on peak asset valuation to balance their books. They're funding the next generation of their project.
It's a ruthless, highly calculated financial maneuver masked as a psychological one. That makes so much more sense. But speaking of peak value, there's another fascinating trend in this stack of news, and it's driven entirely by the players themselves. We are seeing a real quest for developmental minutes.
And resurrecting careers.
Yeah, look at Savinho. He is actively looking for a way out of Manchester City to find regular playing time, with both Tottenham Hotspur and Newcastle United showing serious interest.
And this connects directly to a major shift in player agency. Historically, if you made it to a super club like Manchester City, you stayed until they literally dragged you out.
You don't leave City voluntarily.
Right. But young players are realizing that sitting on the bench at a mega club, even if you are collecting league titles and massive wages, it fundamentally stunts your career trajectory.
I always think about players leaving a dominant system like City. It feels remarkably similar to a talented musician leaving an iconic, perfectly oiled band to go solo. Like you finally get the spotlight, but all the pressure is on you.
That's a great way to put it.
Do young players like Savinho underestimate how hard it is to perform outside of a perfectly oiled machine like City?
I think they often do. Manchester City's positional play is incredibly rigid, but it is fiercely protective. Every player knows exactly where their teammate will be. You hold 70% possession, which means you spend very little time defending in transition, and that hides a lot of individual flaws.
So if you leave,
If Savinho moves to a team like Tottenham, who play a highly chaotic, transition-heavy style, the game state changes entirely. He isn't receiving the ball in isolation against a pin-back defense anymore. It exposes a player's raw, unvarnished profile.
but the gamble can pay off, right? Because our sources highlight Ansu Fati as the perfect success story here. He proves that leaving a giant club for minutes actually works.
He really does.
He left Barcelona, went to AS Monaco, and successfully scored 11 goals in 25 appearances last season. And now Monaco just permanently signed him for 11 million euros. He bet on himself.
And he won. Ansu Fati is exactly the blueprint Savinho was looking at. But we have to remember, it is a bit of survivorship bias. For every Ansu Fati, there are 3 academy products who leave a super club, lose that tactical safety net, and completely fade away.
It's a massive risk. But we are seeing that desire for the right environment extending all the way to the veterans, too. Like, Fenerbahce is currently trying to secure a free transfer for veteran striker Robert Lewandowski.
And he is still weighing several offers from across Europe.
Right, because he controls his own contract, he can perfectly tailor his final destination for the right minutes and the right fit.
Which brings us full circle back to the Konaté situation. The free agent holds all the cards.
All right, so we've covered the 50 million euro bids, the managers transplanting their entire staffs, and the leverage with the free agents. But there is a final layer to this window. I'm looking at our source stack, and we need to talk about securing the foundation.
The under-the-radar shrewdness.
Exactly. Because amidst these blockbuster deals, Newcastle United successfully extended defender Fabian Schär's contract until June 2027. Valencia locked down goalkeeper Stol Dimitrievski with an extension until June 2028.
Both crucial moves.
And then Sassuolo is looking to permanently secure goalkeeper Ivo Muric from Ipswich Town for 7 million euros. Plus, AEK Athens agreed to sign winger Oleksandr Zubkov from Trabzonspor. I want to challenge our listeners' obsession with transfer windows here.
Okay, let's do it.
We all get completely mesmerized by the shiny new toys and the 45 million euro price tags, but isn't quietly extending a rock-solid player like Schär actually more important to attain success than taking a massive gamble on a new signing?
Absolutely is. While the massive managerial shifts and the 50 million euro deals make the headlines, the actual foundation of football is built on these smaller, crucial renewals and mid-tier transfers.
The bedrock of the team.
Right. If you look at the empirical data of league football, absolute continuity in your defensive spine is everything. Let's look at the economics of the Schär extension. If Schär leaves to buy a Premier League proven center back of his quality right now, you are looking at a 35 to 40 million euro transfer fee.
Plus agent fees.
Plus the tactical integration period. By extending Schär, Newcastle essentially saves 40 million euros and guarantees structural stability. It's the same logic for Sassuolo stabilizing their goalkeeping position with Muric for just 7 million.
So they are quietly raising their floor.
Exactly. Smart clubs make sure the floor never drops out from under them.
Wow, it really all comes back to asset management. So as we wrap this up and we synthesize all of this, from Iraola bringing his own entourage to Liverpool, to players like Savinho prioritizing their own playing time, overstaying at a dynasty like Man City, it leaves us with a fascinating, kind of provocative thought for the future.
Yeah, the power dynamics are shifting.
They really are. Are we entering an era where the individual brand and leverage of a manager or player holds more weight than the heritage of the massive clubs that employ them?
That is the big question. When individuals can demand whole system transplants or dictate their own market value on free transfers, the institutions are definitely losing control.
It's a wild shift to witness. Well, we have covered every single piece of transfer news in our stack today. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. We will see you next time.